Alright guys, what is up? You are back for another video with DataZero. This is your weekly outlook and prediction for stocks and crypto. This video is not financial advice, should not be taken as such. Please do your own research and due diligence for buying any stock or crypto asset. With that being said, let's go and hop in the charts, facts, data, showing you guys and girls what's going on for today and the rest of the week. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a short week. Obviously, the market is closed today. We're going to be talking about GME, AMC, SPY, crypto. This is going to be short, sweet, to the point, but ladies and gentlemen, I have to be the bearer of some potential bad news here on the meme stock. So we've seen some potential recovery here for GME, but the charts are saying some disturbing things right now. What we could see here is some potential downside here for both of the meme stocks before we see any recovery. So I want to make that very, very clear, and I hope to be wrong, but what the charts are telling me right now is we could see that downside that I was warning you guys about last week. We are not out of the woods just yet. I told you guys we were literally on our last points of support and at the levels that we needed to hold. 2250 was GME, and I told you guys if we lose 2240, that is going to be all bad. And then 285 was AMC, and if we lose 280, it was going to be all bad. This is still in play. So what our best hope and best case scenario is, we see a little bit of a flush out before more recovery, but we could see continued downside this week, throughout this week. So I just want to make that very, very clear and let you guys know that way you guys can plan ahead, do what you need to do. But right now we still have this bear flag in play for GME. And also, if we go ahead and look at GME here on trading view, we were able to break back above, and this is the thing with the meme stocks, they are so heavily manipulated. Again, that's a double-edged sword, because the manipulation also causes these huge squeeze moves that we've seen here in 2024, 2020, 2021, but also it causes crazy downside. We were able to, where right now GME is in this huge consolidation phase. It's coiled up like a spring. We drop down. We see this consolidation to the side. GME earnings coming up September 9th. That's not in play this week, but it's going to be coming in play soon. We might see some downside heading into that, then a pop to the upside after. But this week could be still downside here for the meme stocks. GME has been kind of flat. Most, like I said, consolidating here. But you guys can see if we zoom in, we have this sloping support and resistance here, sloping support and resistance here. These pennants are hard to trade because they can literally break either way depending on which way you break out. And right now, we just rejected from the top twice, and we are at the bottom of it. If GME does not get a bounce, if GME does not get back above 2250, you're going to see that flush that I told you to the downside, and it's going to be coming down to like 22, 2160, maybe even 20 bucks, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if it did come down like that, I would expect a sharp recovery up. Why do I say that? Based it here in facts. You guys can see all of these buy orders here, okay? All that green, that's all buy orders, okay? So it looks like smart money, whales, people are ready to accumulate if GME did drop down to those prices. Also, if you look back in history, when in doubt, zoom out, we find bottoms off of these levels. And I want to show you something here coming up with AMC, something very, very similar, that when we get down to these lows, we start to rally up, as you guys can see. Now, if you go ahead and look at AMC, something similar. Very strong support here at 278. We found it here. You guys can see when in doubt, zoom out. We found it here. What did we do? We rallied up. You guys can see what happened here. 278, we hit it. We rallied up. Again, we could see a little bit more downside before the recovery, but I'm expecting a sharp drop down, and then hopefully, I'm not telling you this is what's going to happen, but hopefully we get our best case scenario where we get a sharp recovery up. And that's not out of the question, because if we look at what we've seen here in history in the past off the charts, that is what tends to happen when the meme stocks are around these lows. And in fact, last time when we actually got really, really low here on the meme stocks, you guys can see that when we hit this 238 here on AMC, that's actually when we had that huge multi 100% move to the upside where AMC popped all the way to 1188. And then similar to that with GME, GME came all the way down to $9.95 and then got that pop all the way up to $64 plus. So again, normally when the shorts are piling on AMC and GME like this, when morale is really, really low, and we are getting just ground to the downside, ground to the downside, ground to the downside, shortly after that is when a rally and or potential squeeze pops happen. Again, you guys can see each and every time, and even if you zoom out even further, you guys can see this 64-cent low, what happened after that. You know, huge pops to the upside. So that is what we could potentially see. There's a lot of buy orders down there. If we did pop down, GME, though, I got to tell you guys, like, I always keep it on with you guys. I got to tell you guys, it's not looking good for automatic recovery here as soon as the week starts. It looks like AMC potentially could hold the line, but if GME starts to dump down like that, it's going to start pulling back with it. I know some people think they're separate, but I'm telling you guys, the same people trade these stocks, the same people short these stocks. They're on the same algorithm. They will move together. Again, GME earnings is coming up as well as a potential catalyst, but that's not coming up for this week. We could see downside heading into that, and then that could be a catalyst to pop to the upside, potentially for GME. AMC is trying to break above the sloping support and resistance and hold the key level of $2.80, but we have to reclaim 285. If AMC does not reclaim 285, you will be seeing that movement to the downside towards like 275 or 260. But again, AMC, the thing about AMC right now, it's at that really the level of support that it seems to have been finding bottoms recently, and then we beginning those pops up. The thing is I'm worried about, though, is if GME flushes out, that's definitely going to start pulling AMC down with it. Also, AMC has been getting heavily dark pulled. You guys can see right now, cost to borrow on AMC sitting at 0.52%. Cost to borrow has not been going up. We want to see these cost to borrow levels go up, and they've been having a ton of short shares. 4.3 million short shares here for AMC at time of recording, and then 3.7 million short shares here for GME at time of recording. Again, cost to borrow not really going anywhere for GME or AMC. We definitely want to see these numbers go up. When cost to borrow goes higher, that means it costs more for them to short, and we'll see less of these short shares being so easy to use and so readily available. So again, cost to borrow sitting at 0.40%, 3.7 million short shares. I want you guys to also notice how much they've been shorting. All of that, those white bars you see, that's all shorting volume. So they've been shorting a lot more. It's showing a desperation that they want to keep these stocks down. And when they short like this and they pile on while the stocks are low, that is truly when things can happen, ladies and gentlemen. Now, again, I know morale is low right now. We might see some more downside before the recovery. So again, I'm not going to really call red or green week for this week because we could be pulling back before that pop to the upside. AMC has a nice little gap fill here at 297 and 298. GME has a gap fill on the daily time frame, which is also another reason why if we drop down into those buy orders in that liquidity zone, I think we could get a nice pop to the upside. This gap fill is a really, really good play here on GME, all the way from 24.84 to 28.47, ladies and gentlemen. And then there's a second gap fill at 29.32 to about 29.65. So GME has a beautiful setup that if we did drop down, we could easily see that pop to the upside coming up to start filling those gaps. And I have those gaps marked here on TradingView as well. So this is what I'm looking at for AMC and GME. Again, unfortunately, we might see a little bit more downside. GME coming down to potential targets of like 22 even, 21.50. If we lose 22.40, we are at the last point of support right now for GME, guys. We're at the last point of support right now, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you lose that, I'm telling you guys, we will start to dump down. We must reclaim 22.50 or we're going to have to see more downside. I have to keep it 100 with you guys, and AMC must reclaim 285 or we're going to see more downside towards 275 or potentially 260. So that's what we're looking at for AMC and GME. I also did another on-the-ground investigation that's going to be coming to you guys Friday, so make sure you guys check that out if you want to support the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And we also go live as well, so put the bell notification on, and we'll be breaking all of this stuff down, showing you guys the dark pool data and stuff like that, because AMC and GME have been getting heavily dark pooled, heavily manipulated, and they're always manipulated, but the manipulation right now is on double time while the morale's low. So again, if we did see that downside you guys saw from history, that is potentially when things could happen, like a rally or a squeeze pop like we've seen in 2024, which was actually just recently. So this is what we're looking at for AMC and GME. Let's go ahead and move into SPY, and then we'll go ahead and move into cryptocurrency and show you guys there. Definitely want to keep an eye on cryptocurrency. I'll talk to you guys about my trades and stuff like that. Potential recovery on the horizon, but I'm going to tell you guys what the fractal is saying. SPY, all right, SPY is looking crazy, ladies and gentlemen. So we have this gap fill to the upside, which I believe we're going to see a pop to the upside to pull back because of this gap fill. SPY is not looking good right now, guys, and I'm going to break that down for you and why I say that. So if we go ahead and just zoom out here, you guys can see here on the weekly time frame, this is a gravestone doji. All right, that's not good on the weekly time frame. That's a sign of a potential top, or at least a local top. This is not good. We're also extremely overextended. And if you guys go ahead and check out the data drops, you guys can see we have multiple data drops here, but the one we're going to be most important is going to be here on September 5th, coming up here on this Friday. Unemployment, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is the key, all right? Right now, we can see the consensus is 4.3 and the forecast is 4.2. If we get that 4.3 or higher on the unemployment, I'm telling you guys right now, we're going to dump. If we get the 4.2, it should be okay, but that means unemployment's been staying kind of elevated. Also, not really a good look. Unemployment is going to be the biggest data drop for this week. We also have non-farm payrolls dropping on Friday as well. ISM services PMI here on Thursday. JOLT job opening, which is a pretty big one, here on Wednesday. ISM manufacturing PMI here on Tuesday. So get ready. Data drops every day this week. It's going to be non-stop action here for SPY. So SPY traders, get ready, as there's going to be a ton of volatility. I'm going to let you guys know that right now. There's definitely going to be a lot of volatility. Now you guys can see that we're building some bearish momentum here on the 4-hour time frame. Red MACD. One indication why I think we're starting to see bearishness build. And then if you go ahead and zoom out, you guys can also see here on the daily MACD, we have red MACD as well, with the RSI trending down while price is trending up. This is that bearish divergence that we often see in SPY. Why do we see this? In my personal opinion, I think it's because of manipulation. I think you get divergences in RSI and MACDs when manipulation is involved. That's why AMC often has bullish divergence. That's why SPY also often has bearish divergence. It's getting pushed and pushed and pushed to the upside. You guys can see steadily trending to the upside while RSI is trending down. That is 100% bearish divergence on the daily time frame. Last time that happened, guys, I'll just go ahead and zoom out and show you guys and give you a little example of last time something like that happened here on those macro time frames. You guys can see RSI trending down, price trending up. We had this major correction. This was on the weekly time frame. We have bearish divergence on the daily time frame. This is what happened when you have those divergences on these bigger time frames. Now, that doesn't mean SPY is completely topped out, because divergences can take a while to play out, but that does mean momentum is fading. I think SPY is going to see a potential pop to the upside, heading towards this gap fill, probably making a lower high. So we probably won't see a new all-time high here on SPY. So that 650, elusive 650, might not be coming yet this week, and I believe that will probably push up towards 648.08, 648.54, but then we'll start to pull back, finding resistance around 649.01. So if we were able to break above and hold 649.01, 650 would definitely be the next logical price target. And if you would break above and hold that, then SPY would go crazy. But I think that's going to be a very, very, very strong resistance. And that's why I think we're actually going to be seeing a red week when it's all said and done here for SPY. So again, just to break it down, I think we're going to see a push to the upside probably here early in the week. And then heading into the later half of the week, you're going to see bearishness, especially starting to come around Friday with that possible hot unemployment drop. So this is what we're looking at for SPY in the overall market. Let's go ahead and move into Bitcoin crypto, show you guys what's going on there, and then we'll wrap up this video. So Bitcoin is really determining on a key level right now. There is a potential recovery on the horizon, but this could be a bull trap, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll explain why. 109.5 is the key level for Bitcoin. It's the key level for all coins right now because Bitcoin dominance is still high enough that it will be controlling the market, ladies and gentlemen. You guys can see that if we go ahead and look at Bitcoin dominance, it's sitting at 56.4%. Ethereum dominance sitting at 13.7%. Not yet near those altcoin season levels where Bitcoin dominance would be at like 50, 45% or lower, and Ethereum dominance would also be as high as 15 or 20%, and those would accompany each other. If you do see that, that means you're more in an altcoin season, and altcoins can move more independently of BTC. But right now, Bitcoin is still the biggest coin, and it is still in control. So Bitcoin must break above and hold 109.5. Now, if Bitcoin is stagnant and sideways, that doesn't mean altcoins can't pop off or some altcoins can't pop off. But what we're potentially going to see here on Bitcoin, if we cannot break above that 109.5K level, is continued downside, and that's exactly what the fractal's saying. The fractal's saying that we actually consolidate here. You guys can see that there's actually sell walls right above that 109. The whales know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. This is all part of the plan, ladies and gentlemen. You got to move like smart money. That's why my trade, I took profit on it, and I'm waiting for this dump, because once I get this dump, I'm going to be buying and doing another trade, and I'm also going to be adding to my portfolio, my main portfolio, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to move like smart money. When you start to move like smart money, you start to want to see the price go down. That way you can get it for cheaper and let it run up. And that's potentially what we could see here if all goes according to plan here. And this fractal has been following very, very well, guys. You guys can see this fractal has been following all the way from 2022 earlier, showing us the way, showing us what's going to happen next, as well as my technical analysis accompanying it. So with those two things combined, I've been extremely accurate on my Bitcoin and cryptocurrency predictions. So you guys, you want to lock in if you're new, hit that like button and subscribe. What you guys can see here is we actually have that resistance. If we use that resistance of the 109.5, we are definitely going to be coming down to this liquidity pocket here, which is at about 105K to about 97K, where buy orders are waiting, by the way, I mind you, where smart money is waiting to buy. That's where I'm going to be buying. So the fractal says we dip down, we get a new run up. That's going to probably bring in a nice little altcoin season. You're going to see your altcoins pop off. But this is going to shake a lot of people out. Also, ladies and gentlemen, crypto fear and greed moving into fear, more evidence that if we see a flush out, that will indeed be time to buy. Again, I know it's scary to buy when it's following. You might say, oh, it might fall more, and it might. Then you can dollar cost average. I'm not telling you guys what to do, not giving you guys financial advice. I'm just telling you how I move and how I've been able to successfully profit here in crypto. You guys can see crypto fear and greed is sitting at 46%, moving into that fear territory. If we seen a flush down, it would go deeper into fear. You always want to be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. You have to move the opposite of the herd. That way you can move like smart money. You do not want to move like retail. You want to move like smart money. So when people are scared, when people are saying Bitcoin's dead, Ethereum's dead, that's when you buy. And when everybody's talking about it, when you're seeing commercials on the Super Bowl about crypto, you know that's the top, ladies and gentlemen. So this is what we're looking at for Bitcoin. Bitcoin fighting with that key level. If I'm wrong and it breaks above 109.5, great, you know, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to consolidate here, drop down, and I think we're going to see that flush out, and it's going to take Ethereum with it. It's going to take XRP with it, but that's when I'm going to be stepping in to buy. You guys can see Ethereum did make that move that I talked about, going up to a new all-time high. I tweeted about this, let everybody know this was coming. I was able to make a nice little trade off of that in the public small portfolio. Now I think we're going to be seeing some pullback. That's when I'm going to be trying to grab some up. And anybody looking for a potential entry into the crypto market, of course, not financial advice, you would want to be doing it during a back. You guys can also see Cardano ADA tracking with this macro prediction as well, which is also calling for some pullback and consolidation before moving higher towards $1.07, $1.25. Cardano ADA is actually looking like a real gem here because it's one of the more undervalued coins in my personal opinion. XRP, Ethereum, all of them. Bitcoin has already made new all-time highs. Cardano ADA is a top coin. If you go ahead and look at the CoinGecko website, you guys can see Cardano ADA is sitting here at number 11. So Cardano ADA here has not made a new all-time high. So still getting to a new all-time high would give ADA about 284% gains if it headed towards $3, which I think is possible, especially if we do move into a potential altcoin season, which I think is coming here after this flush out, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to see the flush out, and then I think that's when we're going to see the real altcoin season. We haven't really got that euphoria, that craziness that we've seen back in the previous bull runs. Not that that has to happen every bull run, but that normally signifies the tops, and we haven't really got that yet. Also, if you look at things like the BTC rainbow chart, you guys can see that we're actually in an accumulation zone, and if we were to pull back more, we'd be in the buy zones. So all of this is evidence to me that this bull run is not over, that I'm not overly bullish, especially since we're moving into the fear, and that if we did pull back, that would indeed be a great entry point. So crypto's still cheap. Obviously, if you're holding for the long term, you don't really have to worry about this. Me, I'm also holding for the long term as well, as I think all of the legislation that we're seeing, possible news of the XRP ETF. I don't know if you guys seen that as well. This is definitely coming. If XRP ETF comes, that could give it a possible catalyst to move, even if Bitcoin doesn't. $384 price target if the ETF comes out. It's a spot ETF. So that's one good thing as well. Also, some meme stock news here real quick as well. I don't know if you guys seen this, but BBBY came back from the grave as well. So maybe something might pop off for the meme stocks. But this is pretty much everything I have for you guys. Make sure you guys check out the birthday celebration. I appreciate you guys for all of the birthday wishes and stuff like that. Get ready for the unemployment data drop for SPY traders. And this is pretty much everything I have for you guys for your weekly outlook and prediction. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Make sure you guys check me out tomorrow and check me out for live streams. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Have fun. Stay safe. Make money. Peace out.